This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on the highlights of GST Council meeting. The participants are A.K. Bhattacharya, Economic Analyst, and Sonu Sood, Anchor.
Less than a month after the GST Council's 50th meeting on July 11, the 51st meeting of the Council was held today virtually, led by Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. To discuss the various nuances of this meeting, we have with us economic expert Mr. A.K. Bhattacharya. Mr. Bhattacharya, welcome to Akashvani.
Thank you.
Mr. Bhattacharya, can you tell us about the main objective of the meeting which was held today and what has been the major outcome of the meeting?
Well, the main objective of this meeting, as you rightly pointed out, that it has happened so soon after the last meeting. Normally, GST Council meetings don't take place so frequently. The primary purpose of this meeting was to resolve the doubts and a little bit of uncertainty in the minds of the online gaming industry over the decision of the 50th GST Council to tax online betting and gaming and casinos and gambling at 28% on their face value of the entire prize money. Now, the industry had been saying that 28% rate would drive business away and it will push the online gaming participants to other geographies outside India. So they preferred a GST tax which is slightly lower, and also they preferred that the GST tax on gaming and betting should not be on the face value but on the gross gaming revenue. Essentially, gross gaming revenue is the amount which does not include the prize money that is distributed. So therefore, if it is 18% or 28% over gross gaming revenue, the tax incidence is less. But if 18% or 28% is on the face value, obviously the tax incidence goes up because face value includes both the contribution money by the participants as well as the prize money that is distributed to the winner. So this was the major bone of contention. So what happened today at the GST Council meeting, as explained very eloquently by the Finance Minister, is that there were some dissenting voices from a few states. I think the government of Delhi wanted entire issue to be referred to a group of ministers. But two states which are considered to be online gaming capitals, Sikkim and Goa, both the states said that they are not opposed to the idea of the tax rate going up from 18 to 28%, but they want even the higher tax rate to be levied not on the face value, but on the gross gaming revenue. Now, what the Finance Minister and the GST Council decided was that if the 28% of tax on gross gaming revenue would effectively mean a tax rate of 11 to 12%. So it is not even near the 18% rate that earlier was being talked about. And if it had remained 18% on the gross gaming revenue, then the effective rate of collection would be 7 to 8%. So on that issue, even though there were dissenting voices, but the states obviously did not go in for any voting on this. They understood and they decided that they will go along with it. So there is no change in the way the 28% online gaming tax will be levied. It will be levied on the face value. Only one change that was announced, which was that a review will take place after 6 months from the date of the new tax rates are in force. There is one more important decision that was announced, which is that whatever is the entry point prize money that a participant enters, the tax will be levied on that. The tax will not be levied on the subsequent gains that a participant makes on that entry value. So if your primary entry level is 1,000 rupees, you will be taxed only at 1,000 rupees, not on subsequent gains that you make out of those 1,000 rupee investments that you make in the online gaming. So these are the broad decisions.
So there were a lot of clarifications which came forth in today's meeting, a lot of questions, which is always there whenever a momentous decision is taken. A lot of questions had emerged after 50th Council meeting. So today you feel that, the way it was clarified, the difference between the tax on GGR and what it really translates into the net revenue tax, you feel that that has also brought forth the fact that actually the tax is not much. As the FM pointed out, effectively the tax, if you take GGR, it turns out to be less than the tax on many essential commodities.
Well, the finance minister and the government of the GST Council, from their points of view, are justified in making that argument. But it is also a fact that there is always a difference between what is an effective rate of tax and what is the actual rate of tax. Even if you take the income tax or even if you take the corporation tax, the actual tax may be 26% or 23% in most cases, but the effective tax is lower because of the various tax rules and tax laws that are prevalent. So what is happening here is that in the effective tax rate for online gaming comes to around 11 to 12%, even though it is levied on 28% on the face value. So it's a legitimate question that should the effective tax rate should be even lower than the tax rate that is levied even on some of the essential goods. So I think, as I said, from the government's point of view, this is a good argument. But from the industry's point of view, their argument is the principle of value-added taxation, which is that the gross gaming revenue does not tax the total amount, but only on the value-added amount, whereas on the face value, the taxation is on the entire amount. And the third point, I think the reason why the GST Council has opted for the face value concept for levying the 28% tax is also the ease of collecting the taxes. As the finance minister explained, that there is a lot of opacity or lack of clarity in the way the bid money is collected from participants, which is counted as a gross gaming revenue minus the prize money. Now, it is impossible for the tax administrator to go and monitor that what is the actual money which is collected. So there is a problem in administering the tax system if you follow the gross gaming revenue model. So for ease of collection, the face value, which is what the gaming company or the betting company declares, the tax is levied on that. Now, it is true that collecting the tax becomes easier, but the industry would argue that collecting the tax is not the industry's problem. Collecting the tax is the tax collector's problem. So, can there be a way out? And as the finance minister explained, the way out is that a review process is on, that 6 months later it will be reviewed and see whether any corrective decisions and action have to be taken. I personally feel that given the contentious nature of this entire taxation move, this is probably the best way out because a 6 months review is a good option. If it leads to exodus of online gaming from Indian geography to foreign countries and it is difficult to monitor internet-based games, then the government will clearly come in and undertake those reviews. So, given the situation, I would say that good compromise decision has been taken, wherein the tax rate has been retained with an opening offer that it will be reviewed after 6 months.
In fact, barring the dissenting voices of Delhi, Sikkim and Goa, all the other states, as the FM told us in the press conference, the other states felt that 3 years is a long time. The group of ministers has been working and deliberating on this issue for the last 3 years, and these states want immediate implementation. So, sir, what do you feel that enabling the provisions and amendments in the CGST, subsequent to which all the other states have to amend their state GSTs, how long will it take? And the 1st October, which has been kept as the target date, you think that will be met for implementation?
Well, let me say that this concern about delay is also driven by the fact that taxing a betting industry or taxing an online gaming industry is seen as an attack on an immoral industry, which is a sin industry. So therefore, politically, it wins you many brownie points. So there are many other taxation proposals which had seen delays of longer than 3 years. So the 3-year delay is mainly because it is an industry. If you tax it, you are seen as a good man doing a good thing. So that is the moral part of this entire thing. On the CGST, I think the central government is very clear that the CGST Act amendment will go through in the monsoon session itself. And there are many states which have said that they will go in through the ordinance route if it is necessary. My reading is that given the fact that there are many elections coming and government that declares that I have fought for raising tax on an industry, seem to be evil industry like online gaming to 28%, they will move it very fast. So I don't see much doubt. I don't see any uncertainty over its enforcement from October 1, 2023, as is the plan. So I think it will happen. Tamil Nadu, remember, is one state which has imposed a ban on this industry, and that ban has also been taken on board at today's meeting, wherein Tamil Nadu's declaring a ban will not come in conflict with their decision to tax this gaming. So Tamil Nadu will continue to be able to enforce the ban, and the taxes introduction will not mean that the ban takes away. So that is also a clarification that has come through at this meeting today.
And also the GST collections for July, they crossed 1,65,000 crore rupees. And we are seeing that there is a constant robustness in the GST collections. So you feel that decisions like these which took place today, were constantly, in both directions, we are moving. Wherever the need is felt, the taxes are being raised. Wherever the need is felt, the taxes are being reduced. We can hope for this robustness in total collections to be maintained in the future.
I think you are right that if you rationalize rates and if the economy is buoyant, these rationalization of rates will help in collection of higher duties. But with this specific betting online gaming industry, whatever the tax incidence is increased, remember that it will have an impact on the direct tax collections from this same industry under the corporation tax regime. Because if there is more tax outgo under GST from the online game players, then their margins and the profits will come down. So therefore, to that extent, their tax outgo on direct taxes will be less. So net, yes, there will be some incrementality, but it will not be a huge increase in the overall taxation revenue point of view. So actually, the center will probably lose a little bit of revenue on the corporation tax revenue as a result of lower profits of the online betting industry when the new tax regime comes into play.
And coming back to the question of ethics, definitely gaming, you would say, has the potential to become an addiction as we were discussing earlier, and that consideration also, emboldens this position.
There is no doubt that online gaming is an addictive game. It is something that can be very harmful for young Indians who engage in this activity, but it is also a fact that taxation is not the way to tackle an addiction. As we have seen that higher taxation on alcohol products has not led to a reduced consumption of alcohol in any country in the world. So therefore, using taxation to fight an evil industry has not been very, very effective. There needs to be better instruments, better methods and measures to tackle the menace of online gaming if it is harmful for young Indians. So I think, yes, it is a harmful game, but at the same time, higher taxation is not a way out.
So GST is a work in progress, and as you said that after 6 months of implementation, there will be a review again by the council to see how the reform is progressing. And we have seen all along that GST is a very, very flexible regime which always amends itself and changes itself according to the requirements. Thank you so much for this discussion, Mr. Bhattacharya.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on the highlights of GST Council meeting. The participants were A.K. Bhattacharya, Economic Analyst, and Sonu Sood, Anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official.